I can say this was definitely exciting for me to know, kind of at the last minute, that we're going to get this film. And Andrew will probably be talking about that more. There will be a Q&A with Andrew and a couple cast members and crew members after the screening, so make sure you stick around all the way through the credits. We'll have some fun with those guys. I want to thank St. Louis Park Icon Theaters. Put your hands together for them. And our official screen sponsor, Wade Financial Group. A couple other things I want to mention. You were handed a ballot, and that is for the Audience Award. Please make sure you vote. It's very important to the filmmakers. So I know you're going to love Bahamian Son, and I'm not going to say that one's going to win, but judging by the sold-out audience here, it's got a good shot. You were also handed information about the Wade Financial Group. They're graciously going to be donating $50 to Twin Cities Film Fest for everyone that goes and visits their website and fills out a survey. So please do that. We'd really appreciate it, and so would Wade Financial Group. As I mentioned, there will be a Q&A afterwards, and following the Q&A, there's a big party happening out in the festival lounge. There's free beer, free wine. Put your hands together for free stuff. I know I like that too. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let the film speak for itself. We're very excited to screen this as a world premiere, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you. Even probably longer, obviously. I'm going to always start the first question to the director. I hope you had a great experience. It was a great film. You're shooting in Minnesota, and now you're traveling internationally to shoot in another country. And so tell me a little bit about the challenges that you faced when you saw the script and realized that it was going to take you on that long journey.
Number one, budget. But we had to get clever, basically. So we got down there, and then we could make a movie, I guess. And we didn't have a ton of budget and a ton of lights to work with, but Bill Carlson at DP. Bill, wave to the good people here. Super resourceful, take a problem, make it into an advantage. And like the night scene on the beach when they had their falling out, Bill said, well, we don't have our big lights for the moonlight, so now it's pure light. And you just sort of work with what you got and kind of make it happen. And you know, at the end of the day, you just got to make a movie. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. What was your total shoot schedule?
Total days?
Yeah, total days, total time.
What was it? In the Bahamas, it's just over 2 weeks. Just over 2 weeks in the Bahamas, about 2 weeks here in Minnesota. It was maybe 17 days in the Bahamas.
That's amazing that you got all that great footage.
We did do some scouting before, so that helped. But we went to the Bahamas pretty much blind. Maybe we had Leah, Sophia cast, and then one of the aunts is Reggie's real aunt. And other than that, we pretty much had no one cast. Oh, we had Kennedy, yeah, father, yeah.
Oh, it's amazing what you pulled off in that amount of time. I mean,
well, we had good people for it.
Absolutely, that's what makes it work. Reggie? Reggie, this has obviously been a long time coming, and tell me when you were first inspired to decide A, you wanted to make this a story, and then B, why you chose this medium, because obviously you can tell stories in many different fashions.
Well, I went to film school several years ago. I don't know if any of you guys remember Film in the Cities. Went to film school in St. Paul several years ago. So I was always into film, music, things of that nature. And I was shooting a music video, actually. I was doing a music video for Toki Wright, and we were talking about my journey going to the Bahamas. And the director of that music video said, "Hey, man, that would be a great story." You know what? That would be a good story, you know. So at that point, I started writing, and I wrote it for about 6 months, 6 or 7 months. And I knew I was going to go film, and I had met Melvin from another music video I had shot. And I liked the way him and his crew, One Light Collective, handled everything from beginning to end. I had the idea and the vision, but there was no ability to make it from beginning to end. So I got Melvin and his crew together, and we made it happen.
You definitely did. So when you write a film, obviously, and especially when it's about you, the writer, again, you have a choice. I can write this film and I can cast it, or I can write this film and I can play it. And this is kind of a question to both of you. How did you come to the decision that you were going to play yourself, which is a very hard thing to do?
Yeah, tell me about it. I really wasn't at first, you know, but then, remember Spike Lee, and it's like saying, you know, the cheapest star you can hire is yourself. You know, being that, we're on a budget.
Budget.
You know, the budget thing, I was like, well, heck, you know, nobody's gonna know the story better than I can. You know, but, and so then I made that conscious effort. And then we did actually, you know, I think we tried looking at a couple of people, they just didn't work out, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll do it. And yeah, I went to that.
Andrew, what was it? I mean, again, it's a delicate thing when you're directing someone that wrote their own story and then also playing themselves. I'm not sure if it's 100% or what the percentage was of things that actually happened or what some things maybe heightened for the sake of film. But what was that like?
I think the hardest part was separating Kevin from Reggie. So it's like, that's not what Reggie would do, but it's what Kevin's going to do. And then on my side, I kept referring to Kevin in the movie as you. So if we were talking about a scene, I'd be like, all right, so you're going to walk into the scene, you're going to walk in and you're going to talk to your aunt. And we noticed that started affecting it because it wasn't Kevin. You know, it's Kevin's going to walk into a scene, Kevin's going to do this, and then I'm talking to Reggie separately on some other things. So we really had to separate those two things, and it was hard for me to give her direction if it was talking to Reggie instead of Kevin. And then I'm sure Reggie had a hell of a time keeping himself straight with the two different slight personality differences because there was some, you know, creative liberties taken in the film, but for the most part, you know, it was difficult to keep it separated.
Yeah, and the things that are true to life in the story is obviously the killings of my father, the flashback scenes, and me meeting my father in the Bahamas in that journey. But you know, the love interest and all that, of course, is like the Bahamas. So you kind of think, okay, let's keep it entertaining, get people entertained. You know, other than that, you know, it's a story that's been, you know, told before. You know, so just wanted to add that little spice to it. But as far as the difficulty for me, it was just really, like you said, separating it and then understanding that this script that I had, which was like 100 and some pages long, and Mel was like, "Oh, that's cool," and he started ripping out pages out the script. You know, I'm like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing?" You know, and so for that standpoint, I was like, "Okay, let me separate again Reggie from true to life and trying to make an actual good film." You know, and he literally took out like probably 20 to 30 pages.
Stevie and Silas literally took out.
Stevie did. So I'm still pissed off about that. But at the end of the day, you know, I think it made a better film to the point, and you know, that's what we're trying to do.
So obviously, one thing that you had to come to terms with was casting the father role, such an important one to you, probably, I'm sure, and also from probably a different standpoint, also important to you. What was that process like in trying to find that person?
Well, Kennedy, it's funny because we told him the premise of the story, and he said, "Hey, I know that guy. That's me." You know, he said, I think he had like 5 kids from 4 different women. You know, so that is the issue in the islands, and not just the Caribbean. I think it's all islands that kind of have that outside child. So, you know, once he's seen it, he's like, "Look, that's me. I can play this," you know, and so we went with it. You know, I think that was like the first person we've seen for the dad, and he's like, "Yeah, you got it." So
Kennedy was great, and most of the Bahamas cast was great, and a lot of people weren't even really traditional actors, and I don't like to promote that necessarily because it is a craft and it is really hard to do, but I think that story is so close to them, and they understand it so well that it doesn't take much to step out of themselves and just, you know, play the part and read the lines, because it is such sort of a narrative. And but there's immense talent in the Bahamas. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
Did he, you know, you say that he lived that life, that he was that person. Did he have a different perspective after reading this script and understanding what that story was really about?
well, we didn't really get a chance to sit down. Because, I mean, we're moving so fast over here, you know, we had time. So I never really had a chance to sit down with him. Hopefully we will in the up and coming months. But, you know, his perspective was he had a relationship with all his kids. You know, his kids, actually the son in that is his actual son. You know, so he had a relationship with all his kids, and, you know, he prides himself on taking care of the responsibility of his kids. So it's slightly different, but he did have several kids by several different women. So that he was no stranger to.
And then Reggie, one final question, then I'll turn it over to the audience. Your father. What's that? No, last question for me, because I feel like I know there's a lot of people up there who want to ask questions.
Hey, where's Al at? Al needs to come down here. Al,
yeah, if you want to bring some people down,
Al,
actually,
come on down.
so Al is
Come on
from Minnesota.
Stevie, Victor, Ben.
In fact, if whoever worked on this film, is everybody come down?
Yeah.
If whoever worked on this film, why don't you guys come on down? Minnesota production to the Minnesota film community in general is very tight. A lot of people work on a lot of different productions and different fashions. It's one of the great things about Minnesota.
We are mad.
Reggie, your real father in real life. Where do things stand now? Has he seen the film, or do you intend to show him?
Oh, I'm gonna show him. I ain't scared. I'm gonna show him. But I haven't spoken to him the better part of the I had a house fire, not to turn the violence, but I had a house fire a couple years ago, lost my home. And he called like that day. Like, hey, okay, I heard you had a house fire. He heard from my aunts. I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I haven't heard from him since, which is fine. I guess I kind of moved on from that. So it's been a couple years since I talked to him.
I lied. Andrew, so thank you very much for allowing us to premiere it here. We're very honored to be back.
Thank you.
What are your plans? Do you have any definites? I'm assuming you're going to travel with it, possibly. No one festival, the Bahamas Film Festival, is not allowed to have it, but what are your thoughts?
We are talking the Bahamas Film Festival. It's a timing thing right now. We'll see. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. To be honest, it was such a crash course to this thing to get it done, and now we'll see and see what people think of it. Make some adjustments, maybe. I'd love to give it a spin around the country and in the Bahamas and just see what people think of it and kind of go from there. I think it's a unique story for a specific person's journey, but it's a universal kind of story, and I think people can relate to it all over the place.
What do you guys think? There you go. Thank you. I do want to turn it over to the audience. You can ask anything you like. They said it could get personal. Doesn't have to be about the film, right? Sure. Don't be shy.
What was it like working with the limited resources in the Bahamas?
What a nice question, Denise. Thank you very much. Limited resources in the Bahamas.
Were there limited resources?
There were, but in a way, necessity breeds innovation. So we really came up with some great creative things because of it. One specific, more literal example is we have a lighting gaffer there who supplies the lights. We had this whole thing set up to have a truckload of lights to show up the first day of shooting, second day we're in the Bahamas. First day of shooting comes, he doesn't answer his phone. Second day of shooting comes, he doesn't answer his phone. Third day of shooting. And we had brought a small light package. Bill, what did we have? It was a small couple kits, right?
Luckily, we had a hardware store not too far away. So we got some light bulbs.
Resourceful. Again, that beach scene was lit with the big IKEA balls that you stick the light bulbs in. It's just you did make a run to the hardware store, and it's not like the Home Depot either. So you just kind of figure out, and it's Bahamian time, and you just sort of like the dude said, what if he was hopping an island, he was on a boat or something, and just didn't feel like it. And this is the guy that supplied Pirates of the Caribbean too, so it's not like he was a schlump. I don't know.
Did you have Pirates of the Caribbean money, though?
No. But Pirates of the Caribbean enthusiasm.
And who knows in the future?
Correct.
You could get a chance to work with Johnny Depp on Pirates of the Caribbean 43. Excellent question. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a question. So you're talking about the beach scene, the jump canoe, is that?
Yeah, Jonathan.
So was that really a festival there that was going on and you guys just filmed pieces of it, or did you guys stage that whole thing?
No, yeah. Budget, no.
It's not hard to get a bunch of unions together.
Yeah. A couple of beers we probably could have, but no, they were actually having that practice that day. So actually that night was really, really hectic. I mean, the jumping practice was starting, so when we were working on another scene, and literally had a half an hour to run from one location while they were doing the practice because it ended at a certain time. And we let them know ahead of time that we're shooting, and they're like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, that was actually going on. came and kind of crashed it.
Yeah, we sort of, with the help of Bill and Stevie, we sort of just put together, and everyone that was really there that day, but you sort of try and write a narrative within what's happening. So if you remember that scene, you know, there's a group of girls hang out together, a group of guys hang out, they're hanging out together, you know, and it's really not too difficult to just kind of put together the night, and you're shooting up with this B-roll, and it was crazy and hectic, and we actually left Ben, the tall guy down here, at the hotel. We raced off to the location, and he literally was standing there with his boom in his hand, just so we had to go back and get him. Steve, do you have a thought on it?
I did. I was the one that left him. He came downstairs. He goes, Stevie, don't forget me. I was like, not a problem. Got my sky juice. Started driving. And I realized I left him. What I wanted to say about Junkanoo and everything else is that really what you see here, honestly, if people aren't speaking off a script, you're seeing the Bahamas. You really, really are. I mean, Junkanoo wasn't the only thing we just pointed a camera at and saw what happened. All that B-roll you see, you know, people just chatting to each other on the beach, you know, I mean, that really is the Bahamas. I kind of got nostalgic watching it. And everyone's just ready to kind of jump in and act. And yeah, like Melody pointed out, I mean, Bahamian time's like 3 hours, 4 hours behind normal time.
It's consistent, so you can kind of...
Yeah, you can kind of, you know, judge on it. But I mean, you're seeing really the Bahamas. I mean, honestly, and you're not seeing Grand Bahama where that's what I really like about some of the B-roll shows, the hotel and the huge, yacht's probably the wrong word, the massive boats, you know, they're flying around. But that's completely opposite to what we saw, which is on the island of New Providence, which is just really the real Bahamas. And we kind of, you know, Reggie's character gets shown around, but we as a film crew kind of got shown around. So that was a pretty amazing experience, actually. So you really are seeing the Bahamas, and you're seeing, the only thing I wanted to say was, I'm kind of throwing Reggie under the bus here, was he wasn't so sure about wanting to write based on a true story because he wanted to see how much of it was really true. But what's awesome about Reggie is that he's the sole reason this film actually existed in the first place. I mean, really, that it all was engendered by his personal story. And so you're seeing the Bahamas, and you're seeing Minnesota, and you know you're seeing Reggie's story. So I think a big round of applause for Reggie for just getting
Steve, do me a favor. Can you take that microphone down to the end, and I'm going to give it down this end, and we'll kind of work our way back to the middle, because I just want to acknowledge everybody and what role they played.
Thanks for coming out tonight, everyone. Melissa Martin, makeup department head.
I'm Tiara. I was just a friend hanging out. And they're like, oh, we need some party people. Can you go party stuff? So I was in the pool and I was at the jumping. It was freaking awesome. Thank you so much, Reggie.
Bill Carlson, Director of Photography, along with many, many others in the camera department. But I want to relate one very short story. We were shooting on the beach and running around because we had multiple bodies and trying to get things set up. And this guy comes up and he says, you look like the big boss. And I said, well, no, actually, I work for Andrew and Stevie and the rest of these guys. He says, well, no, but you look like Spielberg. And I said to myself, this beard is not coming off.
My name is Victor Davina, as film editor, and section is
Hey, Alan Lennick, executive producer, and I played Al.
I'm Tracy Mims, and I did the travel coordinating and craft services.
Hi, I'm Kalia, and I played Nina.
I'm Amy Grasso, and I did wardrobe.
I'm Ben Alford, and I did sound, along with
Jonathan Moe, sound designer. I just want to say, sound being forgotten about, that never happens.
Son did a great job, as always. They really make an amazing job out of, we kind of threw you in the event, didn't we? I'd also like to say that Ben and Amy met on the Bahamian Son together on the Bahamas when we went together. And Stevie, I partnered with Reggie and turned this into a screenplay. And, AD'd on the actual shoot. One final story I have is if you see when Reggie and Leah are walking past the part where they get the Bahama Mama drink, and there's a guy just kind of doing his thing. He would do that, and you know we didn't pay anyone really. But he turned around to me later and goes, "Stevie, can I get a paycheck?" Because I danced my ass off. So Reggie bought me a drink.
And also, I want to just point out a couple people. Here's my real life mother right here. So just stand up. This one. I've been in many trouble setting my mind, but I appreciate that. As well as my wife, who's back there. As well as my grandfather. Where's my grandfather? He's right back there. Round curly.
There's a bunch of wine, there's a bunch of food, there's all these cats that are going to be out there, and I would encourage you to mingle with them and start to ask about all those behind-the-scenes stories that they're embarrassed to talk about right now.
Thanks again.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, one. All right, we're going to end with an audience question. Go for it. Surveys. Very good question. Mark them. That'd be step one, and then there is an usher outside the door, I believe, that you can turn them into. Thank you for asking that. And I do want to give a shout out to Continental Diamond, who is a sponsor for all the Midwest films, and this being the first one in the sellout. Thank you for making this a success. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.